A couple of questions that we're going to ask you when we talk are, do you know the characteristics of your well? That would include the well depth, the pump set, the static water level, which is from the surface of the ground down to where the water typically sits. And then lastly, and most importantly, is do you know what your well yield is? Sometimes you know it. When you've lived with a low yield well for years, you really get familiar with what's going on. A well driller or a plumber may have come out, talked to you about it. They may have even measured your well yield and your stored water in the well. Gives us a good understanding of how to best solve your problem. But if you'd like to tackle these questions yourself, there are some things you can do. It's not a perfect science, so you're going to have to kind of figure things out. But it might be as simple as getting a couple of 5-gallon buckets, get to an outside spigot, your hose bib, and figure out what's the delivery rate of my well. It might be 3, 4, or 5 gallons a minute. And you would do that by pouring water into a 5-gallon bucket and timing it out. So you've now determined that your well delivery rate is 5 gallons a minute. So then you would get your stopwatch out and you would turn that spigot on and let it run until the well goes dry. Need to remember, you have to shut the power off at that point because we never want the well pump to run dry. But you'll see a severe drop in the pressure output, indicating that the well is dry. Shut it off. Estimate, did that pump just run for 10 minutes or 20 minutes? Let's hypothetically say it ran for 120 minutes. Times 5 gallons a minute, that kind of gives you an understanding of what your stored water is. But for simplicity, let's say it ran for 10 minutes at 5 gallons a minute. That means it delivered about 50 gallons of water. That's kind of what was stored in the ground. Now we're going to let the well rest for some period of time. Longer rest is better because it gives it an opportunity to recover. So we rest for, say, 2 hours, 120 minutes. And we repeat that test. If the well were to run for 10 minutes again, delivering approximately 50 gallons of water, that says that we could divide 50 by 120 minutes. It says our yield is somewhere around about 0.45 gallons a minute. Not quite a half a gallon a minute, but close to it. So that begins to give us an understanding of where we need to be in order to collect all the available water in your well. Not perfect science, but if you're willing to kind of do this process, you can get a better understanding of what's available to collect.